Welcome back, builders. You're tuning in to the Foundry by Forge College. I am absolutely stoked to have you here today because we're cracking open the ultimate builder's blueprint. If you hung out with us for the previous lesson, you know we tackled paymaster integrations, really dialing in that cost management on the network. Well, today, we're taking the next massive step in our track on stablecoins, payments, and real-world assets. We're looking at the exact step-by-step merchant integration workflows you need to build a fully functional Web3 cash register using Solana Pay and USDC. So grab your notebooks because we're getting super hands-on today. Here's the blueprint we're laying out today. 1. Setting up the checkout. 2. The merchant order lifecycle. 3. Validating payment callbacks. And 4. Receipts and refunds. Let's get building.
Section 1. Setting up the checkout. Preparing the order.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're essentially building the bridge between theoretical DeFi and real-world commerce. Now, we've spent a ton of time looking at payment request URIs, abstract token transfers, and all that blockchain theory. But this is exactly where a random string of code literally transforms into a paid invoice for a physical pair of sneakers, or, a hot cup of coffee. It's where the magic actually becomes real for the user. Now, the absolute linchpin of this whole operation is something called the reference key. Basically, it's a unique public key embedded in a transfer instruction to deterministically correlate an on-chain transfer with a specific internal order. Okay, let me break that down. Imagine you're running a packed coffee shop, right? 10 people just ordered a $5 iced latte at the exact same time. If someone hands you a $5 bill, how do you know whose latte is actually paid for? Well, you don't. A reference key is like writing a unique, invisible identifier on a sticky note and slapping it onto a specific customer's cup. When the payment arrives with that exact sticky note attached to it on the blockchain, your backend knows deterministically, literally with zero guesswork, exactly which order to mark as paid. So how do we actually build that out? Well, here is the exact backend sequence to generate a Solana Pay payment request URI for a USDC amount. Step 1. Create the order record in your database. You got to log the order ID, the amount, and the expiry time. Step 2. Derive that unique reference key we just talked about. You tie this newly generated public key directly to your internal order ID. Step 3. Construct the payment URI. This URI packages up the USDC token mint, the numeric amount, the destination merchant account, and our trusty reference key all into one single string. And step 4. Present that URI to the customer as a QR code or a clickable deep link. Think of this URI as effectively a digital contract, just waiting for the payer's wallet to sign it.
Moving right along. Section 2. The merchant order lifecycle. Managing the wait. Now, a robust backend absolutely has to map its internal states directly to on-chain payment states. We highly recommend modeling at least these 5 precise order lifecycle states in your database. First, created, meaning the order is in your system ready to go. Second, pending payment. You've generated that URI and delivered it to the customer. Third, paid. The transfer is officially confirmed on the blockchain and matched to our reference key. Fourth, fulfilled. You've actually shipped the goods or handed over the coffee. And finally, refunded or disputed for when things, don't exactly go according to plan. Your code must strictly enforce these transitions. No skipping steps. So, the crucial question here is, when is it actually safe to hand over the coffee? I ask this playfully, but seriously, it represents the most important security check in your entire integration. You absolutely do not hand over the physical goods just because a customer says they paid, or just because a mobile wallet flashed a quick green checkmark. You only move an order state from paid to fulfilled after your specific confirmation criteria and internal fraud checks are entirely met. Basically, never rush the fulfillment process before the blockchain gives you the final thumbs up. All right. Section 3, validating payment callbacks. Verifying the payment.
Okay, so here's the standard webhook callback payload schema. You've got the order ID, which obviously correlates to your internal system, the reference key, which we use for matching, the TX signature, which is the exact Solana transaction signature, the amount specifying the numeric value and the USDC token mint, and finally, the status. I'll tell you, in our Forge College developer programs, truly understanding this exact schema is often a massive aha moment for students. It's exactly how off-chain web servers communicate seamlessly with on-chain blockchain events.
But here is a golden rule of Web3 development. Trust, but verify. Relying only on a webhook payload is kind of like assuming the check is in the mail. It's a nice notification, sure, but callbacks can be intercepted by bad actors, they can be spoofed, or they might just get lost in the digital ether. On-chain verification, however, that means the check has officially cleared the bank.
So use webhooks to make your UI feel fast and snappy, but always rely on the immutable blockchain for actual reality.
Let's break down the exact logic of a bulletproof callback validation handler. Step 1. Validate the payload authenticity. Check the cryptographic signature or shared secret of the incoming webhook to make absolutely sure it's actually from your trusted UI or payment relay. Step 2. Take the transaction signature from that webhook and fetch the transaction directly from a Solana RPC node yourself. Step 3. Verify the semantics. Ask yourself, does this transaction actually transfer the correct token meant, USDC? Is the amount exactly right? Does it contain our specific reference key? If, and literally only if, all of those match perfectly, we proceed to step 4. Mark the order as paid in our database. We are directly cross-referencing the webhook's claims against the immutable on-chain data.
Let's keep rolling. Section 4. Receipts and refunds. Finalizing the order. Let's look at the necessary components of an immutable merchant receipt. It needs the order ID, the token mint, which in our case is USDC, the exact transaction signature, a timestamp, and a server-generated receipt signature, like an HMAC. Now, you might be wondering, why go through all this trouble? Well, because an immutable receipt is absolutely essential for a solid user experience, and it provides rock-solid third-party auditability. If a customer ever questions a payment, or if a dispute pops up, you have a mathematically provable record linking their internal order to the exact millisecond it's settled on the blockchain. Now for the refund flow. Look, mistakes happen, orders get canceled, maybe someone spills the coffee. Here is how you handle it professionally. Step 1, create a dedicated refund record in your database. Step 2, generate an on-chain transaction transferring the USDC right back to the payer's wallet. Step 3, and this is vital, link this new refund transaction directly to the original transaction signature in your database. Step 4, mark the order state as refunded only upon on-chain confirmation of that return transfer. I really want to stress this. Whether you're doing on-chain USDC transfers or simply issuing off-chain store credits, you fundamentally have to tie everything back to the original transaction signature to maintain a perfect auditable trail.
And finally, Section 5, wrapping up the register. Blueprint summary.
If you take just one single thing away from this explainer, let it be this. Layered verification and deterministic matching ensure perfectly reconciled state. Always treat your payment URIs as a strict contract. Always embed those unique reference keys so you never ever have to guess who paid for what. Rely on-chain validation over webhook notifications every single time. And finally, plan your refund traces and receipt architecture from day one, not as an afterthought when a customer is already upset, right? So I'll leave you with this final provocative question. Are you ready to take this blueprint out of the abstract and into a live sandbox environment? Understanding the theory is fantastic, but actually writing the code? That's where the real magic happens. I want to give a massive thank you for joining me on this explainer today. To take that next step, write some real code, and master even more Web3 development topics, I highly encourage you to visit forge.college. Dive into the deep end, explore our learning resources, and let's keep building the future of commerce together. Until next time, keep building.